Hi everyone. Today I am talking one topic on human resource management, which is approaches to industrial relation. In our previous class, I have discussed one topic. Have you remembered that? The topic was human relation in respect to industrial relation. So it is one approach of industrial relation. In this class, we will learn total approach or the type of approaches which is used for industrial relation. Of course, human relation is one of them, but not only this approach is present, there side by side there is some other approach also. So, in our next few slides, I will talk about concept, overall mapping, system approach. This is the approach, name of the approach, system approach, unitary approach, unitary approach, pluralist approach, collective bargaining, Marxist approach, sociological approach, Gandhian approach, psychological approach, human relation approach. This term you know, you are familiar to you, but all these other terms is not familiar. So today I will discuss all of them. So first you should know about the approaches of industrial relation. Industrial relation is that part of human resource management which studies the formal relationship of the worker with the administration and the employers and ensuring a proper mechanism to manage the industrial dispute and conflict. In the present scenario, the relationship between the employer and the employee have changed to a great extent. What is used to be in the 90s. The industries today are become more of technology oriented, which has generated the need of skilled and educated personnel in the organization. Different scholars and experts have given various views in the context of industrial relations. To understand each of these approaches in detail, we have to go through the topic by one. The approaches are system approach, unitary approach, pluralist approach, Marxist approach, sociological approach, Gandhian approach, psychological approach, human resource approach. So first I am talking about system approach. John Dunlop he's a scientist, gave the ideas of system theory of industrial relation in the year of 1958. He believed that every human being belongs to a continuous but independent social system culture, which is responsible for framing his or her action, behavior and role. The industrial relation system was based on three sets of different variables. The first one will be the actor. By actors, here we mean that the individuals or parties involved in the process of developing sound industrial relations. This variable is denoted by A. Here A is represent the actor. The second variable is the context. The context refers to the setup in which the actor perform the given task. It includes the industry market, technology and power distribution in the organization and labor market or a labor union. All are denoted in short term. For example, industry market represented by AIM, technology represented by T, power distribution represented by P, and I think these two. And the last variable will be the ideology. The similar idea, mentally or beliefs shared by the actors, help to blend the system. It can be expressed by the initials I. So, actor will be represented by A. Context. There will be four variables. One is industry market, M, technology, T, and power distribution, P. And third variable will be ideology. Ideology is represented by I. So, the researcher Dunlop will formulate one formula based on these variables. The formula will be R equals to function of all these variables. Here R means industrial relation. This industrial relation depends on all these variables. A means actor, T means technology, M means market, P means power distribution, and I means ideology. These are all variables, and these variables this variable decides the industrial relations. This formula represents that the industrial relation system can be seen as a joint function of all the elements mentioned. The second approach will be the unitary approach. As the name suggests, the unitary approach can be seen as a method of bringing together the teamwork, common objective, individual strategy, and mutual effort of the individuals. This theory believes that the conflict and non-permanent malformation, which are a result of improper management in the organization. Moreover, if everyone worked towards the achievement of the common goal by maintaining peace and cooperation in the workplace, it will tend to benefit everyone associated with the organization. It also considered the organizational conflict resulting in strikes to be useless and destructive. The other aims of unitary approach are to create a productive, effective, and harmonious work environment, to develop a trustworthy, open, fair, and transparent work culture, to create a cordial work environment, to restrict the role of the tribunals and other government associations like the trade union, and initiates direct negotiation between the management and the employee. Our next approach is pluralist approach. The pluralist theory also called as Oxford theory or Oxford approach. This approach was proposed by Flinders in the year of 1970. This approach explained that the management and the trade unions are the different and robust subgroups which unanimously form an organization. Collective bargaining was considered to be a useful technique for resolving organizational conflict. Due to this, the management's role has transformed from imposition and control to influencing and coordinating with the worker. Following are some of highlights of this approach. The organization should appoint personnel expert and industrial relations specialist to act as mediator between the management and the trade union. They need to look into the matter of staffing, provide consultation to the manager and the union, and negotiate with both the parties in case of any conflict. The organization should ensure that the trade union get recognized and the union leaders or representative can perform their duties freely. In the case of industrial dispute, the organization can avail the services of the external agent for settlement of such issue. The manager should resolve to a collective bargaining agreement when there is a need of negotiation and settlement with the trade union. The formula which denotes the Flanders pluralist theories are R equals to FB and R equals to FC. These two equation is existed here, where R is the rule of the industrial relation, B is the collective bargaining, C is the resolving conflict thoroughly through the collective bargaining. It depicts that the rule of industrial relations are a function of collective bargaining, or in other words, it is a function of handling conflict through collective bargaining. In this context, we will learn one another technique which is used for resolving conflict for any organization, which is called collective bargaining. Collective bargaining is a process of negotiation between employers and a group of employees that aims at agreement to regulate working salaries, working conditions, benefits and other aspects of workers' compensation and right for worker. So we can define collective bargaining as it is the formal process of negotiation between any employer and a group of employees. It is usually related to issue of employment, rights and conditions such as pay, rest and working times, work organization and healthy safety. The successful conclusion of the bargaining process should result in a collective bargaining agreement called CBA being reached. This topic we'll discuss in detail later. Here I am just taking this example because this term because of this explaining the approach. So our next approach is Marxist approach. Lenin came up with the concept of Marxist approach in the year of 1978, where he emphasized the social perspective of the organization. This theory perceived that the industrial relation depends upon the relationship between the worker, that is employees or labor, and the owner, that is employer or capital. There exists a class conflict between both the groups to exercise a high control or influenced over each other. The assumption of these approaches are industrial relations are a significant and never-ending source of conflicts under capitalism which cannot be avoided. However, cases of open disputes are quite unusual. Understanding the conception of capitalized society, capital accumulation process and the pertaining social relation give a better overview of the industrial relation. The Marxist theory assumed that the survival of the employees without any work is more crucial than the survival of the employers without the labor. Our next approach is sociological approach. The industry is comprised of different human beings who need to communicate with the individuals of other organizations. Due to the difference in their attitude, skills, perception, personality, interest, likes and dislikes, needs, they are usually involved in one or other conflict. Even the social mobility and other aspects including transfer, default, group dynamics, stress, norms, regulations and status of the worker influence their output and the industrial relations. This theory also emphasizes on the impact of various changes in the work environment, that is economic, technical and political, on the interaction and relationship shared by the employer, employees, institution and the government bodies. Our next approach is Gandhian Approach. The Gandhian approach to industrial relations was proposed by the father of the nation, Mahatma Gandhi or Mohandas Karamchand Gandhi, who was also a well-known labor leader. Following are some various features of the trueship or Gandhian theory. Gandhiji was not against strike. Instead, he gave the following condition to carry out a favorable strike. What are the conditions? The workers or laborers can go on a strike only if there is a specific grievance. There should be complete non-violence while carrying out strike. The ones who are not involved in the strikes should not be tormented. Though Gandhiji was not against carrying out strike, he believed that it should be the last option in which the labor should resort to after the failure or all the constitutional and peaceful way of resolving conflict and negotiating with the employer. The Gandhian approach illustrates that nature provides us with human capabilities and different kinds of property. Thus, such nature's gift belong to the whole society and cannot be considered as of a personal profession by anyone. The objective of this theory is to adopt non-violence way to bring in economic parity and material enhancement in a capital society. Gandhiji perceived that every organization is a joint venture and the labor should be treated as associates or co-partners with the shareholder. Moreover, the workers should have proper knowledge of all the business transactions as it is their right. He focused on increasing the production and believed that the gains should be shared with the employees because of whom it has been possible. He also emphasized that the industrial dispute and conflict between the parties should be resolved healthily through interaction, arbitration, and bilateral negotiation. This theory gained massive popularity and is applied to address dispute and misunderstanding in the organizational setup even today. Psychological approach. The psychologist perceived the problem of the industrial relation as a result of the varying perception and mindset of the key participant, that is the employees and the management. The thematic application test was conducted by Mason to understand the behavior, mindset and perception of the two significant work groups, that is executive and the union leaders, in a particular situation. In this test, both the group were asked to rate and interpret the photograph of an ordinary middle-aged person and the results were drastically contrasting. The union leaders perceived the person to be a manager, whereas executive thought that the person was a union leader. The major interpretation of this text were as the general belief of a management representative is entirely different from that of a labor representative. Both the management and labor do not consider each other to be the trustworthy. Even each of these groups considered that other one lacks emotions, interpersonal attributes. These contrasting impressions are as a result of certain economic as well as non-economic factors like values, power, position, personal objective, recognition, beliefs, education, social security, and income of the individual. Also, each of the parties form a negotiative or a negative image or perception of each other. Due to this, they will always find fault in the action and behavior of one another. As a result of factor mentioned above, there remains is a tension interpersonal relationship leading to conflict which ultimately hinders the image and interest of the individual involved. The last approach, which was already discussed in your previous class, again I am repeating here, which is human relation approach. The person behind the concept of this approach is Kent Davis. The organization and the society comprises of human beings who vary in various aspects as their behavior, emotion, attitude, mindset and personality. But they have come together to achieve common organization goal and objective. The concept of human relation approach underlines the need of making the individuals familiar with the work situation of the organization and uniting the efforts of the worker. The purpose is to meet the social, psychological and economic objective by enhancing the overall productivity. Some of the primary objectives of human relation approach are to ensure cooperation by promotion the mutual interest of the organization, to enhance the productivity of the individual, to satisfy the psychological, social and economic need of the employees. This theory focused on enhancing the level of efficiency, workers' morale and job satisfaction by applying specific techniques or tools and policies. The human relation approach highlighted a technique for enforcing proper control over the work environment by forming small work groups and at the same time eliminating the hurdles of sound labor management relation. So, this is about today's topic, which I am ending here. In your next class, the collective bargaining technique will be discussed in detail. You already know the term collective bargaining. In your next class, this topic will be discussed. What is it? How it was conducted and the types of collective bargaining techniques for implementing it in the appropriate situation. Thank you.